Dear students, coming to communication and interpersonal skills. This is also very important things which are asked via the interview. And in this also there are some set of questions which you should prepare for. Let's talk about that. Now, what do you mean by interpersonal skills? How you manage with people. If you are very poor with managing people, I think you won't be able to do leadership well. There are many people who are genius, but they are bookworms. If they are bookworms, I think the armed forces would not be appreciative of them. Unfortunately, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam was also very good in studies and other things, but initially when he had gone for his NDA entry, he was more a bookworm than practically effective. And that was the reason that he missed the recommendation. So now this is something to be understand that, okay, God bless, he proved himself well, but on that stage when he got rejected, it was only on basis of his not adapting himself to interpersonal skills. It is important that you adopt if you want selection. Otherwise, you can also become an APJ Abdul Kalam in some way or the other, maybe tomorrow. But here, is it clear? So interpersonal skills are important. If you don't know how to handle people, there may be a possibility that you may be a wonderful person, but people will misjudge you and your leadership will fail. So here we go. Can you tell me about a time when you had to communicate complex information to someone? There are so many times when we have some difficult things to tell to people. You have to tell them, particularly the ones who are working in the Air Force and the Navy, they do have these complex informations, complex situation where they have to say something. And what do you do in complex situation? You simplify it. How do you simplify it? Either you put it in bits and pieces as pointers, or you make a proper map. You know, many a times I used to come across people who used to never understand easily where to turn, what to turn. So what I used to do is take a piece of paper and make a complete map, and making the right turn, left turn in their language. Suppose they are Hindi medium, I used to write बाएं मुड़ना, दाएं मुड़ना, everything very clearly. And यहाँ पे आएगा तो यहाँ से ये मुड़ना. Because you know, many people are poor in picking up instructions. So you have to give them examples or demonstration or elucidations. Same thing here. When you have complex information, how do you do that? You must have had. Many times you have some plan. For example, you were a house captain and you had many plans and you had to tell them. So you put it in simple pointers. That's also a way to solve it. Or you must have been a person who has many things to do and you had to create a project, right? And project has many complexities and you had to put it across. How did you do that? There are some people indulging in coding. They had to do something. How are they planning it? They must have simplified, given steps, why they coded this, why they coded that, why they coded this. Similarly, people who are working in the different organization, having different perspectives, they must have done that. Simply, yes, in case you have been teaching, in case you have been studying for your boards and some friend of yours has come down to understand some chapter, how did you do that? You made it simple, didn't you? So, how you did that? You can tell that. So, this answer can be coming up from there. There are some time when you have sad information to tell, that somebody has expired and you have to tell someone that it has happened. How do you make it? You give it as small jolts. That so and so has suddenly made a small accident, not injured too seriously, but is coming home, right? Yeah, a little bit is there, so the hospital is taking care. Possibility is that everything is okay, don't worry. Now, why are you doing this? You are preparing the person for the final jolt. When after an hour or so, you will tell them that, oh, I'm sorry, but this has happened. So this will be okay, because now once you have taken them to injury, then to the hospital, then to the care, then to a surgery, then what happens? The motions built up. So it doesn't come as a shock. Many people die because of shock. So that should not happen. Is it clear? So these are ways to make it simple. This is interpersonal skill. How you talk. Now, for example, you are opposing someone and you tell him, I am totally disagree with you. There is a full possibility he will fight with you. There is full possibility he will take it as a personal objection. There are many people, whenever you say something, they immediately say negative only. What do you think is the problem with them? They have some psychological problem. Now what should be done? At least be a good listener, number one. Number two, if you have many difficult things to tell, you should change it rightly. That is it. So I hope you've understood this. So when you disagree with the person, instead of saying I disagree, you can say I have a different viewpoint, and politely say this. This comes under interpersonal skill. This comes under good communication. This teaches you how mature you are, not to create hatred, but tact. If you don't have tact and respect for others, you will not get it. Don't you think that you have a right for respect if you don't know how to respect others? So same thing, it's here. While giving anything complicated, you have to learn to be very polite and relevant so that you respect the other person and other person receives your communication rightly. There are so many people who have wrongly misunderstood. I remember one person I was talking to, and suddenly in between I suddenly said, what's the problem? Now there was no problem. I was just quietly requesting someone. Now what was the problem with the other person? The other person was aggravated. There's so many times when we are in different emotions and we overreact to others. We do it wrongly. So we have to be intelligent to be very rightful. And that's exactly what comes under communication and interpersonal skill. Now we come down to the next point, please. How do you build relationship with people from different backgrounds? By giving respect to them. They may be from any backgrounds. We are not here to stereotype. We don't have to think that, okay, this background is good, this background is bad. For example, if we think that this person is from this caste or from this religion, we don't do that. We tend to understand and respect them for whatever they are. And once we appreciate them on that point, we create a understanding. And thus, once the understanding is created, then automatically we can take them to any common logical point. But when we have people who are not listening to us because they have aversion or they have, they feel we are from different background, why will they teach us? That's it. There are so many people. While communicating backgrounds, you consider that, okay, the background is the person. No, it's not. Variety can be well entertained. Logic should be the reason. But there are many, unfortunately, people who just stick to things very badly, stereotyped. Many of you students listen to some very, very rigid thought process just because you think that it is coming from a military background. No, you should assess whether the thought process is filtered, logical, commonsensical, intelligent, right. Why not? There are some people who copy people, religious leaders, on the name of, okay, he said it. Why? Not understood. But why? Not cared for. That is wrong. The moment you will identify things logically, you will do better. We don't want followers. We want people who, we don't want blind followers. We want obedient subordinates. Obedient means where obedience is related to logically right. So if you are good at it, it is going to do well. And if you think that I have said it, so everything is right, no, I may be also wrong. But the only thing you've got to do is you've got to think what I'm saying. Is it relevant? Is it logical? Does it apply? Yes, no, and you will learn, you will master human relationships. And when you become a leader, this mastering of human relation is very important for you. So remember that. Is it clear? You have people from different background. I remember in the armed forces when my father was there and I used to go to different places. I was there in Secunderabad. I remember there were so many people with different languages and I used to keenly learn. I mean, the language, the Telugu language for counting the numbers, I used to learn. In Bengal, I went down, I learned Bengali to a certain extent. In different places in Punjab, I learned a little bit of Punjabi. So, when you appreciate them from different background, automatically, not only we are adjusted well, but we land up becoming good persons together and we bond each other. But we have disregard for the other person. Because you are from so-and-so place, you are an idiot. Now, what a foolishness is this? So, in the armed forces, we don't want this. We don't want you to be so rigid that you do not build up. Okay, there may be a person from different religions, so what? We have to have regard for it. We cannot go with the orthodox thought process that this religion is good, this religion is bad. Anyway, any person who has this rigidity will never adjust. So that is why this question. So you should know how to do it. I hope I've got that clear to you. Now let's go further. Can you describe a situation where you had to negotiate with someone? There may be a possibility, while you are planning, organizing, there is a person, like you're going to go arrange certain things. You've gone to buy stationery for the school, or you've gone to buy certain materials from outside, and there is a person is charging more. You must have negotiated. And you must have negotiated. How did you negotiate? I'll teach you a tactics. It will help you always. Whenever you go for buying a product, now that you have mobile in your hand, you should use the information from different sources available in the websites. Or if you are in the market, go to different shops to get an idea. Once you have a parameter of lot of rates, then automatically your negotiation becomes better because you have information now. And I'm sure you must have done this. If you go down to buy things, you do negotiate a little because you cannot waste your money. You should not waste your parents' money also. You should negotiate. After all, there are many times when people keep overpriced things. So you negotiate. That's okay. There's nothing wrong. Similarly, you negotiate when two people are fighting together and you realize that the person is not breaking through. You must have gone there. You must have said, see, he's a nice person, but there is a misunderstanding. Let's resolve. Right? So this speaks how beautiful you have been, how nice you have been to solve problems, not multiply problems. So people who really try to solve situations, they actually are brilliant to resolve situations, and they have leadership traits. So this is all about your, in the interview they may ask you. So prepare one of the situation which you can. You must have done. Yes. Sometime two people having problems and you realize both of them are good friends to you, but they don't talk to each other. You must have negotiated. Give that answer. Now we come down to the next question. How do you handle feedback or criticism? Now when you get criticism or feedback, somebody says you've not done well, you remember that I always cater to different suggestions coming to me. They have been n number of questions given by different people, and every time I've given you a new session only because I take feedback very positively. I take criticism as indication to improve upon. I think you all people should have this point. If you ever get some criticism, it doesn't have to kill your confidence, but it has to be, if there is anything logical in it, absorb it for correction and evolution. I'm sure you must have done it. Many times teachers tell you have not spoken well. What do you do? What did you do? You learn from it and you realize that, okay, I have to do this. Rather than argue with the teacher, I don't think you also speak. No, that is not the way. You must have listened to that and you must have improved it. Similarly, an officer, while you're working and has told you that you should have done this better, you should have kept it as a point, and next time you should have done it better. That is the way to take criticism positively, feedback positively, and evolve on it, improve on it. Am I right? You must have done it. So go back to your memory lanes in the past, when you did that, when you learned from everything what your father scolded, when your father scolds you, your mother scolds you. This is all feedback. These are all feedbacks which you have to learn to improve upon, and you must have. So please say that, give those incidences, give those examples, and tell how you did. And believe me, even today, while we are evolving to technology, because we are also ready to evolve ourselves, and that is the way we can survive. I don't have to, I'm sure you all are aware of Charles Darwin's theory of survival of the fittest. That's exactly what we have to do. All these other stories of God and Supreme God and other things are very much applicable, but survival of the fittest is very more applicable than anything else. Remember that. So I hope you've understood this feedback. You must have taken it positively. You have to tell that, and whenever somebody gives you feedback, listen. Do not get irritated. You are not a pampered child. Pampered child do not do well. Pampered means loved, and then they do not take things rightly. No, you should learn. And that is the way it should be. Is it clear? Okay, we go down to the next. Can you tell me about a time when you had to work with someone who had a different communication style? There are people, I have friends, I landed up from one place to the other place and they had a very drastic style. Some of them had abusive language, but their intentions were good. I never took the abuse to my heart. Even in the armed forces, when you go there, you will find people using normal abuses. You friends do something or the other. Colloquial language, the slangish style, everyone has, everywhere. So what do? You go for the logic, you go for the common sense, you go for the intention, you go for the friendship rather than picking up logic. Some people have egoistic style. They say, how dare you talk to me like this? Now, if your intention was good, I don't think this question was required. But there are some people who have bloated egos. In group discussion, people, instead of solving the group discussion and coming to common point, they compete with each other. How foolish. A group discussion means varieties, and varieties have to come to some common point with some accommodation, some acceptance. And if you have that attitude that my thing is right, then I'm sorry to say, you will not be able to survive in this world. And you'll never be able to prove your leadership, neither become a good officer. So you have to take it all positively. Is it clear? So you have a different communication style. There are many times when you have people coming now. In India, we have varieties. Southern part, northern part, west, eastern. Luckily, I've lived in most of them, and some of them where I was not, I visited. And I realized one thing which is very common along with this communication style is mutual respect. If you have mutual respect and mutual respect of variety, mutual respect of intention, mutual respect of mannerism, politeness to understand, you never have a problem with communication style. I remember a lot of my Haryani friends who talk very rough, but their intention, they are the best friends I've ever found. They are very, very true, but their tone speaks as if they are using a sword. But in reality, they are good friends. There are some people who are very sweet, but they are not very reliable. So now, does the communication style matters? No. What matters is the intention, the purpose. So you should have that approach. Is it clear? So if you had some issues, particularly who have served in the armed forces, they have had people with different communication style. And people who are in school also, they have people coming from different economical background, of different communication style. That's okay.